Did you get logged in on Facebook?
No.
Okay, I hope you're in touch. We should be ready to go. There we go. Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cuso, my co-host, Mr. Derek Blue. This is the first hour of our show where we bring to you the blueprint. Today's blueprint is going to be a little different because this month is Women's History Month and it's National Women's History Month. And in our studio today is a young lady that did just that, made history. Yes, here it is, 2021. She did it over something that hasn't happened in over 40 years. We're going to get to meet her and learn about her struggles, her plight into this arena of a field that's not dominated by females and not dominated by African Americans, but she did it. So our guest on the show today is none other than technology. We had another guest, none other than Dr. Shamaria Engram. Let me take this opportunity, young lady, to welcome you to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love that. I love this picture of you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I was looking because I think we have another visitor that's coming on. So let's just check to make sure. So to our radio listening audience, as you know, as we navigate through this pandemic, we're still working from multiple sites. We're still working from multiple platforms, trying to make it happen, trying to keep you informed, and also using this opportunity to always enlighten you, our guests. So to our Facebook family, our YouTubers, and all of those that share with us on the social media platform, welcome to the show. Please take a moment to go ahead and like and share so that others will be able to hear the words that are going to come to us from our guests that I will refer to for the duration of the show. Dr. Engram. Dr. Engram, long before you completed your doctoral dissertation, tell us about the young lady, Shamaria.
Yes, so I grew up and I was born and raised in Tampa, and I attended Armwood High School briefly, and then Strawberry Crest High School was built in 2009, so I transferred there. And I was a part of the first graduating class of Strawberry Crest in 2011. At Strawberry Crest, I also played basketball and softball. And so then after there, I went on to Bethune-Cookman University, where I majored in computer engineering. And I was also a member of the softball team there as well. I guess a fun fact, while I was at Bethune-Cookman, I maintained a 4.0 GPA up until my senior year in college. I know. It's still disappointing to this day. And I got my first B my senior year, last semester of my senior year. So I ended up graduating with a 3.97 GPA. So I'm still upset about that, but, and then after that, I went on to University of South Florida, and there I obtained my master's and my PhD. My master was in computer science, and my PhD was in computer science and engineering. And my research focus area while I was there was in the area of software security.
Listen, you just ran through that too quickly. In order for you to be able to have it's not that easy. First of all, maintaining a 4.0 GPA or straight A's, and in my book, 3.9, in any mathematical course you took, that is rounded up to what? A 4.0. Absolutely. So when we think about, and you just it's rolling off like it was just so simple, Dr. Ingram.
No,
Did you
it wasn't.
find did you find high school from that whole from your academics, was that easy for you?
um, I think, yeah, probably a high school was easier for me. I wouldn't say easy, but so I guess let's start with my childhood. So my parents would
There you go.
always they would not allow me to bring in anything less than an A unless I gave like my absolute best. And so at the time, of course, I hated it. I was like, well, a C is still passing. And of course, my parents were like, absolutely not. And so I think because of that, that sort of just drove me to just work hard and I guess get good grades. And so in high school, I was always pretty good in my classes. I was pretty good in math and science. And so that's when, I went on and decided to major in computer engineering um, for college. So it wasn't super easy, I guess, but I guess it was a combination of the push from my parents and I guess sort of me being smart, I guess.
There you go. I love the way you say that so innocently, sort of me being smart. And my co-host has joined us. But Dr. Ingram, did while you were in high school, what was the interest that kind of drew you to the STEM program?
Okay, so I was actually not interested in STEM at all in high school. So what
Okay.
happened? So as a kid, I was always fascinated with like crime shows. And so like before binge watching was a thing, like I'd always binge watch CSI Miami. And so I
Okay.
wanted to go into law enforcement. And eventually that grew into me wanting to be an FBI special agent. And so one day, I believe it was after a game or something, and we were at a fast food restaurant, and an FBI agent actually walked into I think it was McDonald's or something. And so I went over and, introduced myself and talked to him for a little while and told him how I wanted to, be like him and be in the FBI. And he was like, okay, cool. What are you going to major in when you go to college? So I told him criminal justice because I thought that was the obvious route to go for the FBI. And he told me, he was like, absolutely not. The agency looks for people who specialize in something, and you need to make yourself stand out from, the other hundreds of applicants that are also going to major in criminal justice. And so he
Okay.
told me to look into accounting or computer science or some sort of engineering. And so that's when I sort of went back to the drawing board and did my research. And then that's how I stumbled upon computer engineering.
I love that story, and that's what our young people need to hear. We've got my co-host, Derek Blue, is the father of five, and I think they're half baby homeschooling some of them. And he's going to chime in just a moment. But you mentioned your parents, so please take this opportunity and give your parents a shout out for us.
Yeah, shout out to my parents, Angela Stone, Keith Ingram, Antonio Stone, all of them really uh, sort of had a hand in shaping who I am today.
I think that's awesome. And I'm going to take a minute as I pivot over to my co host, and you will appreciate this because this is something you'll probably work towards in the future. But my co host, Derek Blue, husband, father, pastor, CEO, and host of a radio show.
and
Derek Blue.
part-time teacher right now. That's a part of the reason for my tardiness. To my left, I blurred my back screen out, is my 8-year-old who is also on his virtual stuff too. So I'm excited, Dr. Engram. I mean, as I look, you are the epitome of what would be, what I would say is what I would consider to be a success story. Number one, right here, Strawberry Crest. In fact, my son, we're looking at bringing my son there. But then also at HBCU, I mean, you're talking about Bethune-Cookman is where I went to school at for a few years.
Go
Um,
Wildcats.
and go Wildcats. And just looking at your story, it's amazing and it's inspiring, especially being the father, being a girl dad as well. I have two girls, And one of my daughters, Cheryl and I, when we interviewed
Dr. Gladys West.
Dr. Gladys West, we were talking about, inspiration for young Black girls, man. And it's, I'm just inspired by your story. And my daughter Malia, she's a math whiz, National Honor Society. And it's stories like yours and Dr. West that really, really inspire my wife and I, with our girls. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Kudos. And you know what? And only because Derek Blue brought this up. And Shamaria, we talked to Dr. Engram, we talked to you a little bit about Dr. West. And I reached out to Dr. West because, she's our adopted grandmother, but I had to tell her, Derek, I said, you can be Derek's adopted grandmother, but you probably have to be my adopted mother.
Yeah, she adopted me, and then she already said I look like her son, so it was a perfect match.
You do. You look like her grandson. And so I want you to know, Dr. Engram, that we reached out to Dr. West, a nonagenarian. She is an inventor. She's an author, mother, wife, grandmother, and she is still pushing for our culture. And we talked about Derek's daughter, Malia, and the importance of the STEM programs, making sure that they're studying the, science and technology and engineering and mathematics. And this is what she said to you. Hello, Dr. Engram. I am so excited to congratulate you on your huge accomplishment. To graduate with a doctorate in computer science and engineering is outstanding. And then to be the first Black woman to do so at the University of South Florida is phenomenal. You are a true example to my belief that if you follow your dreams, use the available resources and never give up, you will achieve success. And she goes on to say, as you keep striving towards your next goal, remember to appreciate your past and all of your struggles. Continue to learn in the present and help prepare those behind you for the future. Share your knowledge so other young Black girls will know what resources and tools they need to help them grow and pursue their passions and follow their dreams. You are a beautiful example of a mentor. Please use your talents and your strengths to work for the betterment of the world. Keep following your dreams. You are not done yet. I'll repeat that, Dr. Engram. You are not done yet. Again, congratulations, and I would love to chat with you one day. But until then, you are going to receive an autographed copy of my book. It began with a dream. Dr. Gladys West.
Oh, wow. That was so nice of her. Thank you.
Incredible for someone that went through some of the struggles. And I'm thinking hers were, whew, they were quite something, as she shared with us. And when you get a moment, go back and listen to her as she spoke with Derek and I about just that.
Yes, I definitely will.
And so, and we wanted to share that with you. And I look forward, we will make sure that we make the connection long before the book is arrived at your home. So now that takes us to your Wildcat. Derek talked about that, but Derek, we've got an athlete in the house as well.
I saw that softball. Okay, I see. Yeah, I mean, well-rounded student athlete. I had a question. I don't know how it's looking on Zoom, but I'm between Dr. Cousseau and Dr. Engram here. I feel so. But let me ask a question. How important, Dr. Engram, was the village? How important is the village? When it's, and I'm sure you would voice this sentiment. It would be selfish to think that you did this all by yourself. You know, you stand on the shoulders of a community of people and parents. How important was that for you?
It was extremely important. So even starting with my parents, like I was telling you all that, my parents, they didn't accept anything less than an A unless I absolutely, gave my all. And so that sort of, that pushed me into going to college. And that was probably one of the reasons why I got, so to go to Bethune-Cookman, I got the presidential scholarship, which is a full ride scholarship. Um, and so even at Bethune-Cookman, I had sort of my village there as well with my undergraduate advisor. And what he actually pushed me to go to graduate school, and how he did that was he recommended for me to do an internship at Iowa State University. And it's called a research experience for undergraduates. And so there they expose undergraduates to research in computer science and engineering, and just to all the things that you can do with computer science and engineering that you normally wouldn't get exposed to as an undergraduate. And so after doing that internship, that's what really motivated me to go to grad school, because I saw that there was just so much more to the field that I wanted to know about. And so that even, having my village there at Bethune-Cookman with my advisor, and even my classmates, I guess the vibe at a HBCU is so family oriented. And so just having sort of that environment, I think just sort of really helped and pushed me to where I am today.
Wow. And you mentioned, that your village wouldn't accept anything less than what they knew you were capable of. Now, did that always feel good? I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely not.
I think about, for me as a parent, of 5 kids, 2 girls, 3 boys. But, one of the things I think about myself, sometimes I'm tempted to think that I'm too tough. When I start seeing, and maybe I am, but let me be clear. But sometimes, when you start seeing the eyes well up, but it's almost like teaching, listen, it's better for you. And at the end of the day, we're in a time to where you kind of have to. I mean, it's not fair. But did you feel the pressure being a Black woman, or at the time a Black girl, and then kind of feeling that weight that you have to almost work twice as hard? Did you feel that? How did that, and how did that help you?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely didn't enjoy it as a child. I always thought my parents were being too hard, especially when I'd see like some of my friends' parents, well, like, my friend is allowed to get a B in her class, and, so, I definitely didn't like it at the time. But I think it definitely is one of the things that contributed to my success today. I think someone was asking me the other day, like, well, why did you decide to get a PhD? Over any other degree or a master's degree. And I said, part of it is probably because my parents always pushed me to get the highest that you can get. And so I think probably, well, with the PhD being the highest thing that I can get, that probably is what led to me getting that.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. That is
And
that is awesome.
you asked her about her village. And so at this time, Dr. Engram, someone that's a part of your village, the Reverend Lara L. Roundtree II, senior pastor of the New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church of Tampa, Florida, Incorporated, is on the Zoom. Pastor Roundtree?
Hello, everyone. Pastor Blue, Sister Kuso, good to be on. Thank you all for having me. And to Dr. Shamaria Engram, how you doing? Good to see you.
Good. How are you? It's good to see you as well.
Doing well. We miss you down here in sunny Florida.
I know. That's my background. I miss it down there too. It's like 20 degrees up here right now.
Oh my. Well, I won't tell you how it feels down here. I won't rub it in. But I just want to come on to say that we are so proud of you, and thankful that your development came through New Mount Zion, and
Yes.
the input and the asset that you were to us. Many don't know that Shamaria is really the one who laid down the groundwork for our technology infrastructure at New Mount Zion. She built our app. She didn't charge. She wouldn't take any any compensation for that. Helped us understand the framework for the website and a lot of the things that we're doing now. And she did it all out of the goodness of her heart, out of her Christian commitment to being a blessing to our church family. So Hebrews talks about, Hebrews chapter 12 talks about being surrounded with so great a cloud of witnesses. And just to give us a narrative, an understanding that in our faith walk, we're never alone. Those who have gone before us serve as an example and as encouragement in our journey. And so I want to let you know that you are surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Your family, your church family, we're praying for you. We're rooting for you. We take credit for you. And it does not yet appear all of the great things that God is going to use you to do, all of the glass ceilings you're going to shatter. You've already shattered some. You are a trailblazer, and we're just happy to see what God is doing in your life. And we want to encourage you to be faithful, continue to trust him, let him lead and guide you. And the best is yet to come.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, Pastor Roundtree,
You're welcome.
that's exactly what Dr. West said to her. The best is yet to come. I love that.
Amen.
And Pastor, thank you so much. I know you are extremely busy. This is Bible study night.
Well, listen, I've learned whenever Cheryl Cousseau
Oh,
calls,
don't
you
say that.
answer. So never too busy to be on your show, and absolutely never too busy to share with our precious members and those who have such bright stars and bright futures. Always good to see you, Pastor Blue, and I certainly praying for your patience as you serve in those double duties of teaching and fathering.
Please do. Thank you, Pastor Roundtree. I appreciate that. I need them.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You all
Pastor,
take care.
and listen, Pastor, he has been married. Yesterday, he celebrated 19 years of marital bliss with 5
19
kids.
years.
Congratulations. I remember we had
Thank
so
you.
much in common. I'll be celebrating 20 this year.
Wow.
So we got a lot in common, man, and we'll continue to keep one another in prayer.
Absolutely.
That we can set an example for our young people of Christian marriage, raised in Christian families.
Right.
Absolutely.
Doing it God's
Well,
way.
we thank from the bottom of my heart.
Amen.
Thank you so much. And we'll give the final words to you from Dr. Engram.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say to your pastor, Dr. Engram?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Thank you for those words. Thank you for your leadership, for your pastorship. You've definitely had a big impact in my life, and just the NMZ church family have definitely had a big impact in my life. When I returned from college, I didn't have a church home. And so I just thank NMZ for accepting me and allowing me to serve in any way that I could. So thank you.
Amen. To God be the glory.
To God be glory. Thank you, Pastor. I know you have to jump off, but
You're
I love
welcome.
the way she said that NMZ. So,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
thank you so much. We'll catch you tonight and again on Sunday. And
Thank you so
because of
much.
people like Dr. Engram, we're able to just navigate through these virtual services now. As a matter of fact, we're doing worship on the lawn or worship in the parking lot.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I've been catching those on YouTube and Facebook lately.
Yeah, we may need some technical support. We had some difficulties on Sunday, but I think we got them rectified. But I was using some of the lingo that I learned from you when I was talking with them on Sunday to kind of debrief and kind of learning about the wiring and the infrastructure and what we need in order to ensure that we can have a strong signal. So you're helping us even when you're not there physically anymore.
She is, and let me say this to you all that you may not know this. Well, Pastor Blue, you may not know this. Dr. Engram does. The Reverend Larry L. Roundtree will be celebrating his 8th pastoral anniversary as the leader of our flock at the New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church next month. As a matter of fact, I believe it's Sunday, the 11th, but if not, we'll post the correct date. So let us take this opportunity to say thank you for coming on to support, and he supports his members wholeheartedly. And we are just praying for an amazing 8th anniversary, because we know last year we came up with a little parade for you.
Yes, ma'am. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Look like it's gonna be a parade again.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
Dr. Cousseau, I mean, the way that you and others of the members of NMZ
NMZ.
support, I think, that means a lot to a pastor and to a leader who gives their life, because I mean, I don't think you guys understand this, but I don't think people truly understand what a pastor has the pressures of pastoring is that when people are rolling over in their bed, sometimes you're right at the top of your leader's mind.
Yes.
And, 8 years is a long time. It really, it's a long time. It takes a man, and you guys who are watching this, it takes a man to pastor God's people. And I'm certainly keeping you in prayer, Pastor Roundtree,
Thank
as
you.
you
Thank
do
you.
the same for me. But it means a lot whenever the members like you and Dr. Engram can come back and say, you know what, I appreciate what you did and I appreciate what you do. That's a tremendous blessing, man. And I pray for more and more of that as you go into year 9. 8 is that number of new beginnings, as I call it.
All right.
Yeah.
And I pray that God just does something new and fresh and, reinvigorates you and, sets you on fire to trailblaze into this new normal, man. So we're praying for you, and I pray that you do the same for us.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor. And like the adage says, from your lips to God's ears. Jesus tells us that when we do what we've been called to do, we ought not look for any special acclaim or appreciation. We've just fulfilled our duty. So whenever someone says thank you or expresses appreciation and any act of kindness, we be foolhardy to feel entitled. So anytime a member says, I love you, thank you, says I'm praying for you, to me, that's just a cherry on top of a blissful calling that not without challenges, but looking at, the innovative mind of Dr. Cousseau and how she touches so many and raises up her community, and then seeing what Shamaria is doing. It's just, you're so grateful to God to have allowed you to be a part of it. He could have chosen anybody, but just to be able to say that these people call New Mount Zion home and appreciate the labor of love in the word is just overwhelming to me. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude.
Oh, wow. And I love my pastor. I am looking forward to this anniversary. And Derek Blue, you have just broken him in. I heard my pastor call me Dr. Cousseau. So you all are calling those things as they should be.
Yeah.
And because of people like Dr. Engram and because of Dr. West, who is my mentor now, I will be enrolling and preparing myself to go back to school for my doctorate degree. So you all have just been speaking it into existence. So
you got it.
I gotta do it for real.
Yes, ma'am. We're behind you, just like we've been behind Shamaria.
Right.
I'll be calling on Dr. Engram too. But listen, we're gonna go ahead and take a station break. And so, Pastor, I know you have to pop off. Pastor Blue will be back on with us, and Dr. Engram will be back on. So we'll see you back in 2 minutes. Thank you again, Pastor.
You're welcome. Y'all take care.
Thank you. You too.
In Touch Radio, the most loved station across the nation. In Touch Radio. Tell a friend. In Touch Radio.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids state of Florida. Grab a pen or sundown. 184-361-RICK. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361-RICK. Call Ricky, ask Ricky is a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and getting you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
And we are back. Welcome back to Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusseau. It's the first hour of our show where my co-host Derek Blue brings the blueprint. Today's blueprint is all about the educational process. And we have as our guest, Dr. Shamaria Engram, and so pleased to have you here. And again, thank you. So we threw that little surprise in for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
When someone has gone through what you have gone through, it becomes very, very important for all of us to always reach back, as Dr. West said. And that's what we have to do. You know, God gives all of us a purpose in our life, and we are always in a position to help someone else. And he gave me this platform, and that's exactly what I use it for. So it's Women's History Month. What better person that we can have on our show to launch our show? And we will have other trailblazers on our show. But the type of history, Dr. Engram, that you made doesn't happen every day. And correct me, I believe it was 40 years in the College of Computer Science and Engineering.
Yes.
They were about 40 years old.
They're about 40 years old. Yep.
40 years old. Girl, that's a long time. So that being said, you get to be my mentor now. So I'll get to call you and say, girl, how are you? What am I going to do? But we know that all things are possible with God. And that being said, I want to take this opportunity out. So you were telling us about BCC and then making the decision to go on to grad school. How do you end up at USF? Go Bulls!
Yes. So I applied to a lot of schools, and so initially I was debating between a master's degree and a PhD. And when I applied to both master's programs and PhD programs, but I was sort of leaning more towards PhD. And all of the schools that I applied to provided funding for me to pursue my PhD. And so the degree and the tuition and everything was fully paid for. And I also got a stipend to support myself. So I didn't have to work to support myself. So that's pretty cool. And that's one of the cool things that I like to throw in there about doing a PhD in a STEM field, because most of them are actually fully funded, and you don't have to worry about working to try to support yourself, or you don't graduate with a bunch of debt. But anyways, back to why USF. So going back to the village, my undergraduate advisor actually introduced me to the diversity and inclusion director at USF. And so once he introduced me to him, he brought me down and I toured the campus, and he actually introduced me to other Black students that were pursuing PhDs at the university. So not necessarily in computer science, but they were just pursuing PhDs at the university and other majors. And I think it was from him introducing me to that group of people, it just really felt like I had a community there at USF that I didn't feel that I would have had at any other university that I had applied to. And so really that sort of, with it being, a fully funded degree and having that community, and also being Tampa, where I'm from, that's why I chose to attend USF.
Now, listen, you hit on some great points there, because you said you applied to several different institutions. And for the young girls and young boys that are listening to you today, we have a friend and a colleague, Robin Donaldson, and that's what she's working with now. And she is working with the youth in STEM programs. And I'll have to connect the two of you guys. And she's also a supplier diversity vendor at the University of South Florida. So we have had as a guest on our show the VP of the Office of Supplier Diversity, Ms. Terry Daniels.
Wow. Okay.
So when you're looking into the institutions, because what you said is so important in the STEM program, the offers for a paid tuition and a stipend, there you are coming out of Bethune-Cookman University. Before you got into the master's programs, let's see, you went through another series of testing, did you not?
No. So what happened was after Bethune-Cookman, I went straight into the PhD program at USF. But what
Okay.
USF allows you to do is while you're pursuing a PhD, you can sort of pick up a master's along the way. And so what I did was, so you can either do a master's non-thesis, which is just coursework, or you can do a master's thesis which contains research. So because I was already doing research for my PhD, I just did a master's non-thesis. So once I got enough credits for the master's degree, I just applied for it, and they approved it, and I got my master's degree.
I think that's phenomenal, because you're even educating me on some things that I didn't know. But apparently the STEM program now, if that's your field and that's where your gift is, man, the sky is the limit, so it seems. And I would also venture to say that there must be a lot of competition with the universities of trying to get the top of the students in the class to come and be a part of their program. Well, I'm so glad that you made the decision to go to the University of South Florida, because I have another letter. Before I do that, where's my co-host? I think he's on. Let me just make sure. Derek Blue, are you there? Okay, well, if he gets to pop back on, because he did say that he was having some technical difficulties. Let me take this opportunity to read another congratulatory statement to you. Congratulations, Dr. Shamaria Engram. The University of South Florida community is so proud of your historic accomplishment. As the first Black PhD graduate in computer science at USF, you have shattered barriers and made it possible for many to envision a future that may not have been believed or made possible. The USF community looks to your achievement as a tremendous point of pride and celebration. Building your legacy, we are committed to ensuring that while you are the first, you will not be the last. Congratulations again. And this comes to us, PhD, Dr. Elizabeth Horde Freeman, Senior Advisor to the President and Provost for Diversity and Inclusion, USF Associate Professor of Sociology.
Oh, wow.
So
Thank you.
congrats to you.
Thank you.
She actually wanted to come on the show and share that congratulatory wish with you, but she's at USF working diligently and was involved in a quite extensive meeting today. But certainly thought it not robbery to take a moment and send a congratulatory wish to you. So Dr. Elizabeth Hodge Freeman, we thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
So if you, and hearing you talk about inclusion, here is a person, and honestly, I always have to give her a shout out. She was, like you were talking about, making that stride from undergraduate to graduate. And as I think about it, she was one of my interns. I believe she was at Cornell at the time, came home for the summer, and I hired her for the summer. And so to look back, as Dr. Blue was talking about the village, yeah, now he has to go and get his doctorate degree now. It really does. It takes a village. And so we understood that. I understood that as a young age, because I've always had people in my village taking care of me. And it's only right that I give back and do the same thing. So I wanted you to know how special you are, that one of the executives on the campus of USF thought it not robbery to send a message to you. So now you can say something to her. She may even be listening in on the Facebook Live. Who knows?
Yes, thank you for that congratulatory message. I really appreciate it, and it definitely means a lot. And thank you for the work that you do at USF, and inclusion and diversity and equity is a very important thing that universities and many companies should take seriously. So I thank you for your efforts toward making sure that USF is a more inclusive and diverse and equitable university.
I like that. And that's what we're going for, equitable.
Yes.
Now, listen, I could come to you and say, well, you're going to have to give me some help. But now that I think about it, see, you did it one swoop. I don't believe you took a break, did you? You went straight from high school to undergrad and combined both your postgraduate degrees together.
Yes, so I've been in school all of my life up until last year. I'm actually still I'm not in school, but I'm taking a course right now at MIT. So I mean, still, like we said, that lifelong learning.
Lifelong learner.
But yes, I've been in school pretty much all of my life. I didn't take a break. So I mean, I had internships in between, but
Right.
yeah, I was in school.
Well, you're at USF, and I remember reading an article, and actually I saw an interview of you, but share with our audience two things. One of your most valued memories from selecting them as your school of choice for your doctorate degree, and one of the most difficult challenges that you were able to overcome.
Um, So I don't know if I have one most valued memory at USF. I have a couple, and I guess they're all sort of around the same thing. So with Mr. Bernard Batson, who was the diversity inclusion director for the engineering department, as I mentioned, he sort of introduced me to a community that I had of other Black and African American students who are also pursuing their PhDs. So I think some of the most joyous times that I had at USF would be the seminars that we would have, where we sort of got a chance to, I don't know, sort of authentically be ourselves in the seminar, and hang around other people who have similar cultures and backgrounds. And I think that's something that I really enjoyed, because being the only Black woman in the graduate program can be pretty exhausting sometimes. And so when you get around other people who sort of share your experiences, it definitely sort of takes the weight off your shoulders a little bit. So that's probably some of the most joyous times I've had at USF, and also just learning from my peers. The most challenging thing probably at USF was just finishing the degree. And so to graduate, I needed to get a first authored publication, and sort of dealing with rejection is probably the most challenging thing, because when you think you have an idea, and you think your idea is good, and maybe your advisor thinks your idea is good, but then when you write a paper and you send it out for publication and the reviewers just reject it, or they don't think that the idea is good, that's probably one of the toughest things to get through. And especially because the PhD is a long process. So it took me 5.5 years to finish. And so sometimes when you're getting rejection after rejection, you don't see the end in sight. But one day somebody finds your idea fascinating, and your paper gets accepted, and you're able to make a contribution to the field that no one's ever done before. That's you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
It seems to me that God just held time still for you to continue your pursuits until you finally got the acceptance of your paper, and still be the first. And as Dr. Horch Freeman said, she just said the first Black.
Yes.
I mean, that says a lot. I know you use the first Black female, but really, you're the first Black who happens to be a female. And I think that's phenomenal. Now you're at USF, paper accepted, making plans. What does that feel like when you now know that you are about to put another notch in your belt buckle with an earned PhD?
It definitely felt good. Right after I defended my dissertation, it was just like the world was off of my shoulders. Like I felt like a new person. I had newfound confidence. So it definitely was a great feeling when I finished my degree.
Whew, sigh of relief.
Yes,
And I want to take a
definitely.
moment to, we talked about your village earlier, and you thank your parents. And I had the opportunity to, I know your grandmother, Carolyn Williams. And so we worked together on a project, and as well with DSI Black Pages, my company. And then to have her come and unite with New Mount Zion, and to be able to work with her then, just such a beautiful person, who also helped us to make all of this possible. So shout out to Mrs. Carolyn Williams. So thank you so much. So now you're at the point to where weight is lifted off of your shoulders. At what point during this process that you began to decide where you wanted to spend or select a company for hire? And what was that process like for you, Dr. Engram?
Yes. So it was in 2019. I was sort of nearing the end of my research and just shopping around places to accept my work. And so I thought that it would be a good time for me to do an internship. And so the fellowship that I was on at the time offered a non-academic internship that you could do with industry. And so I ended up doing the internship with MIT Lincoln Laboratory for 6 months, from October 2019 till about April 2020. And so I really enjoyed the internship, and I felt like I learned a lot. I learned, I don't know, I feel like I learned so much while I was doing the internship. And so I really just felt like that would be a good place for me to start my career.
Well, they obviously thought the same thing, because today you are now employed by
Yes, MIT Lincoln Laboratory.
MIT Lincoln Laboratories. That's just phenomenal. Now, when did you start working with them? But did you even have a chance to take a break or a vacation?
No, I mean, so I took I took like a 1 week break. So I interned with them from October to April, and then they wanted to keep me on as a consultant because of the work that I was doing on the project, and they wanted me to continue on with that work. So I stayed on as a consultant up until December, and then I started full time December 22nd. So yes, I didn't take a break. I took, a 1 week break, before I started full time, but I didn't have a significant amount of time off.
Bless your heart. I'm telling you, it's good to be young and energetic, because you'll be able to take that time and maybe come back to the sandy beaches of Florida,
Yes.
and take a nice vacation and love on your village.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations on the beginning of your now professional career at MIT. You are just at the top of your game, at the top of the field for such a time as this. That's got to feel amazing.
Yes, it definitely feels amazing. And I'm just thankful that, God has sustained me since, all the way throughout my journey. And I'm just thankful to be in a position like this.
And Dr. Engram, as I just watch you, I watch you do the work as we were going through the pandemic. Even before the pandemic started, I remember my husband was going through his health issues, and so I decided to just start sneaking in to the church up in the balcony, and got to see you do your thing every single Sunday. And there's just this cool, calm, collective demeanor about you. And you talk about your educational pursuits, your experiences like nothing.
Yeah, I guess I can't really take credit for it. Like I said, I think it was just God has sustained me this whole way through. I always, like, people always are amazed at, how I, got my undergrad paid for, my grad school paid for, and, now I'm working for MIT. But I think really it's just God has a calling, I would say, on my life. And so I think when
Yes.
what God has for you, he will make a way for you. And so I think, everything that I have in my life is just because of him. And I'm very thankful and grateful for it. So
Absolutely. And I'm with you 100%. All praises to God. He opens the doors, He provides the platforms, and which is why I'm here today with this show called Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusseau.
yes.
Blessed to have 4 co-hosts that come on and join me. And again, just bringing awareness to causes, to individuals, and especially those who are in the business arena. So here you are. And as we kind of now are approaching the end of our show, there's one more letter I would like to read to you. And as I'm reading this letter, then I want you to come back and share. And it almost seems strange hearing Dr. West talk about your legacy and hearing Dr. Elizabeth Hoyt Freeman talk about your legacy. And so I'm going to ask you, what will you want your legacy to begin with? But here's the letter. Shamaria, I am so very proud of what you have accomplished. I feel sometimes words just can't express what I feel. It has been a long road for you. There have been many days and nights that we would receive phone calls from you about the roadblocks that you would encounter and with the doubt of finishing. But we would give her an encouraging word to push through. Don't give up. You have come too far to stop now. Your mother, Angela Stone.
Thank you for getting that from her.
Incredible. And she talked to me a little bit about some of your real struggles. But when Pastor Blue asked you about your village, it really does take a full village.
Yes,
I'm so proud
definitely.
of you. We are so proud of you. We are looking forward to what's ahead for you. But I want you to take the next few minutes and talk to us about the beginning of your legacy, Dr. Engram.
Yeah, so I don't know, when I think about my legacy and what I want it to be, I really want to impact as many young people as I can. I really enjoy doing things like this and speaking to young children and really just inspiring them and motivating them to just be all that they can be and achieve, everything that, they want to achieve in life. And so I guess when I think about my legacy, I just want it to be that, I had an impact in some way, shape, or form, whether it was through an interview like this or whether it was through a physical interaction that I had with a young person, that I inspired them in some way to be all that they can be.
Well, let me tell you firsthand, it does not have to be a young person because you have certainly inspired this young lady. I look forward of sharing some of my experiences down the road with you as well. So on behalf of our In Touch News Radio, on behalf of those, I hope they were able to catch us live on Facebook and as well our YouTubers, all of our social media outlets. Those that are listening, please like and subscribe. We certainly want to make sure that this video gets in the hands of our young Black girls and boys and to let them know there are other options, there are other resources. You just have to find the right ones. But here she is telling us that if you look at her career, you're talking about something with today's cost could have been upwards of almost $200,000. And now you get to start your professional career at MIT debt free. So to people like your amazing parents, thank you. To Dr. Elizabeth Horge Freeman from USF, thank you. And to my adopted mom, the Dr. Gladys West, thank you. So on behalf of all of you, We thank you. We look forward to seeing what's new, what's going to be happening with you. We look forward to having you back on our show, Let's Talk Business. And let the people know at MIT, we thank you for allowing them to allow us to have you for an hour today. I know that took some work, and let them know that we appreciate that, because what you're doing and the lives that you are going to touch will be life changing and life sustaining. And so you talk to us about your legacy, you talk to us about your goals, what you want to do. And when can we perhaps maybe think about seeing you coming home?
I don't know. I mean, probably the holidays. I'll probably make it home for the holidays. So
I hope so. But for now, to you, Dr. Shamaria Engram, here's a virtual hug.
thank you.
Thank you so much to my co-host, Derek Blue, to our sponsor, the FAP Group. We appreciate having you on the show today. In Touch has been helping us to kind of work things out. Everybody was working remotely today. To my admin, Ricky, thank you so much. We appreciate the work that he was doing behind the scenes. We will share the messages from the lovely people that shared with you. We actually were trying to incorporate them into the Zoom, but with technology today, we'll figure out how to do that, so that when people hear the interview, they'll be able to see the picture of the person that wrote the letter as well. So we look forward to that. We will share our thank you posts. Dr. Engram, this show is a wrap. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.